And it is official. Shalom Yashrala, Yabrak coming out. It's your brother Isaiah Bunyan Shalom. So, anyway, going forward, I want to look at a few things, and in the process of, I was hoping that you all would look at it with me. So, first of all, when you get in here, put a 7 in the room, and let me know if these glasses is huge. I didn't realize. Am I unk? Oh, also, this is going to be an AMSR, so I got to make sure I keep my voice down because the Benatian are asleep. Shalom, Akbarash, if you rocking, if you up, brother, I know you rocking. May the Most High, bless you, keep you, make his face shine upon you. All right, so let's get this real quick. So when we get on, let me know how is the sound. All right, the sound is okay. All right. And also, these glasses is huge. I'm Unc Isaiah Yashrala. That's crazy. Here, let's try it again. All right. Okay. So let's go ahead and get it started. All right. Let's play around with the screen share. All right. Let's start with. All right. Let's start with this right here. So I'm gonna hold on to this right here, and while I'm holding on to this, I am going to. Let's see. I'm gonna start screen share so you all can see the screen share. So. Let's go ahead and go. That's hilarious looking. Oh, that's hilarious. Okay. All right. So let's get to this real quick. Roderick Williams. Shalom, Roderick Williams. All right. All right, Shalom, Yashrala, Yabrakam, Yabashamasha. So you all should be able to see this. I have a full screen up, so you should be able to see my screen share. All right, so I'm doing a whole screen share jump. All right, so there we go. Let's switch back. So let me do this real quick before I go anywhere. Let me give a shout out to the LO. Now, let me give a real quick shout out to the Light of Zion, and the reason being is because right now, what's going on is there's a beautiful ministry, and I'm a supporter of the Light of Zion. All right, I'm a supporter. Like I'm gonna support all y'all showing school. These brothers are so diligent. You know what I'm saying? So, and then I give respect to Lawya. All right, there's a conversation right now. There's a conversation right now that's happening with Kahan Yakanan, and it's this man plays no games when it comes to the Torah. And if you get a chance, please support, be a part of the Light Zion Ministry. I want to be here to tap in and support. I also want to be able to do my own thing, but you know what I'm saying, I gotta shoot him a message. I'm gonna say, yeah. All right. And I'm gonna say, that's it. I'm gonna say, all right. So and I'm gonna tap out. All right. And the reason being is because those brothers do a beautiful job, and when I watch their videos, I really enjoy getting into it. Now, hey, shalom to the Mashpakar that's watching right now. I'm gonna play this music real quick. Put a 7 in the room, and let me know if it's kosher. If it's too loud, put a 3 in the room. All right. So, so let's get to it real quick. We're gonna look at a few things. One, I'm gonna take this camera, switch this angle over to this way. All right. All right. That might be a little bit better. Okay. All right. So it won't look like I'm like over there. All right. So put a 7 in the room if the sound is okay, a 3 if it's not. And we're gonna pull up a few things. Okay. So flat earthers are welcome. If you have any flat earther friends or family, this would be a wonderful time. All right, to invite them in, especially since Father's will, I'm hoping to be able to read. All right, so put a 7 in the room if it's okay. The audio, put a 3 in the room. Excellent. Yo, I greatly appreciate that. Thank you. I don't want to continue and it sounds terrible. Now, here's my microphone. Should I be closer to the microphone? Put a 7 if I should be closer to the microphone. A 3 if it doesn't make a difference. All right, the music that we have in the background, we do not own the rights to this. He is an amazing minister. His name is Kevin Yazzie. Kevin Yazzie is a Gadite. All right, he believes in the Most High Yahweh and believes in Yahweh Shai. And you hear him say Yahweh, you hear him say Yahweh, you hear him say Yahweh, definitely. So I am a supporter of Kevin Yazzie's music. I do not own any rights, but I love playing his music for study, for ministry, and also so other people can hear Kevin Yazzie's music. So if you don't mind, Bronco, can you put a 7 in the room or a 3 in the room if it matters how close I am to the microphone right now? All right. So, let's see. It could be better, but it's not terrible. Awesome. All right. All right, this should significantly make it sound different. All right, brother. So let me know if that's different. All right. And the reason being is you being a minister also, I know that you care about when the sound of the Most High is going out. Right? So I greatly appreciate that comment. I greatly appreciate that comment. All right, cool. I want to invite some of my friends, families, and haters, which is so awesome. You know what I'm saying? Because I'm going to talk about some fun stuff. I'm going to read. So if you got some free time and you just don't mind, I'm going to read. All right. So, and then talk about the stuff that I'm reading. All right. So here we go. We're going to start with this. All right. It says, same really. Okay. All right. So in that case, there's a volume option on my microphone. All right. So I'll turn the volume up, see if that's better. All right. So just to get into it real quick. Now, the reason why I talk about flat Earth so much is because one, it's a gateway conversation. I don't care where you are. I don't care, what politics is. The minute you ask somebody, do you think the Earth is round or flat? It's a sphere. You know, it is the minute that you do, the tide of I don't know why, but I know that it's there. And the Apostle Paul said, he became all things to all men, that some of us might be saved. He used the foolish things of the world to confound the wise, and all these things. So the reality of it is that I do wholeheartedly believe that the earth is a sphere. That's a real thing. I believe that the earth is a sphere. Boom, there right there. The other part about it is whenever we can go from that subject to talking about the Most High's holy days, or to even talk about, the constellations that the apostles. Let's go ahead and turn this thing on. All right, we're gonna go ahead and switch it to. Let's go ahead and switch it on. So even the apostles, right? What did the apostles do? The apostles, okay. Hey, I really appreciate that. The apostles, they even asked Christ, will it be at this time that we will now inherit the kingdom? No matter why. Why? Because we knew that there was going to be a greater salvation that was coming. Chariots, UFOs, all of this stuff is talked about in the Bible everywhere, and we know it. So I like to use that topic of the flat earth because it opens so many gateway conversations. If you don't mind, share this out. Invite some flat earth friends or invite anybody, because there's actually a few things that I really want to go into. All right. So first, let's look at this. All right. Let's look. Boom. Let's go right here. All right. So this is Flavius Josephus, and then as you can see, this is in the book Antiquities of the Jews, and it says, moreover, Moses was the inventor of the form of their trumpet, which was made of silver. Now let's stop right there. I personally believe that Israelites blew trumpets that were made out of silver from the Levites' instructions that Moshe made, and they were intricate. They weren't just, they were intricate. All right, so here's a source where you can look this up at. Flavius Josephus, Antiquities of the Jews. All right. But I also believe that we used ram horns. See, it was designated for the Levite priests to specifically use the silver, right? Moreover, Moses was the inventor of the form of their trumpet, which was made of silver. Its description is this: in length, it was a little less than a cubit. It was composed of a narrow tube, somewhat thicker than a flute, but with so much breadth as it was sufficient for admission of breath of a man's mouth. It ended in the form of a bell, like a common trumpet. Its sound is called in the Hebrew tongue, Asor. What? What? Wait a minute. You mean to tell me that there's a actual pronunciation of the sound that we use? I was in Cali, West Cali, West Cali, right? So they was blowing the trumpet, and they was like, blow that thing, cuz, blow that thing, cuz. Hey, you better blow that thing. And they was all turned up. It was beautiful. But look at this phrase right here. See, Josephus leaves so many beautiful jewels for us. And then don't forget, Josephus was not only the leader of Sakari. Josephus was the leader of Sakari, all right? He was also the general, and he was a high priest of our nationality, and he was a historian, master historian, antiquities writer. So when he gives notes, take notes. It says its sound in Hebrew tongue is called Asosora. That's got me curious. Let's go over here. All right, let's look this up real quick. All right. Huh. Let's see. All right. So we got a real quick overview. All right. Now I like to pronounce the Paleo Hebrew. So how I'm seeing it, I would say Asa Ai Sarah. Asa Ai Sarah. Or I don't know what that O sound would be. I would have to, oh, here's the characters right here. Okay, so here's the characters. So so ha. So ha tzara. Ha. Why in English is it up there? Ah, here, let's zoom in. All right, for those of you who speak Hebrew or read the Holy Tongue, also Lashon Kodash. All right, you can look at this. This is what we're focused on right here. This is the word that we're focused on right here. All right, and like I said, this is midnight oil. So if you got some time, all praise in this building. All right, so it says the word sasora, which that's a tongue twisted English meaning, refers to the sound of the silver trumpets described in the Hebrew Bible. The Hebrew term for the trumpets is, and then oh, that's supposed to be the cha. Oh, okay, so that's supposed to be the cha because it's closed. See, look, let's come over here. Look at this page real quick. All right, let's look at this one. So we're gonna take that same word and I go out and paste it here. You heard that? You heard that? All right. Okay, now we're getting somewhere. Hallelujah. Hallelujah. All right. Matter of fact, we'll just open it right here in this window. All right. So we have. All right. It's kind of too big. Too big. Let's zoom out. So this first character is Cha. All right. So this is Cha. At first, I was a little bit concerned because when you first look at the Hebrew characters, the Cha and the Ha can look similar. So this is the Cha, the hard guttural Ha, not to be confused with the Ha. Okay, this one is Cha, and the next characters, if you look at them, they're exactly the same. These two are the same. This is Tza and Tza. So Cha Tza. And then this character right here is the Ash, like the head, like the beginning of the day, like the beginning of your life, the beginning of your marriage, the beginning of everything. You go to the Ash. All right. It could also be the beginning of the night. All right. So, and the last character, if you look at it closely, this very last one, it looks like the first one, but it's not the same. So this last character, if we can zoom in a little bit more. Okay, there we go. Thank you so much, Yahweh. Okay, so this last character, if you look at it, it looks like a door in Chinese, doesn't it? And you know why? Because the language that the Moabites and the Amorites spoke, which are the sons of Lot, the language that they spoke was also Hebrew because they lived in the land of Sodom and Gomorrah, but they were the nephew and descendants of Abraham's progeny. So, with that being said, we have Terah and the such. So, when you look at Chinese characters look like Hebrew, don't they? Pretty cool, huh? So, with that being said, this is the symbol of a door, and right here, you see where it's not connected. That means because there's an opening. All right, there's an opening for breath to come through. All right, and that's what that means. So let me do this real quick. All right, let's see if it'll come over here. Let's see. Let's see. All right, we're live now. Yeah. On and get on and speak your stuff. All right, so that was that, sending that out. So let's go back to this. So I want to show everybody this. All right, so we'll start our stream, our screen share again. All right. All right. So I just got y'all all in my business, okay? Just let y'all know, I just got y'all all in my business, okay? So, and I definitely don't mind because the reality of it is that everything uh, that we do should be for our nation, for the glory of the God that we serve. All right, drop the link in the line. I think this is it. Nope, that's not it. All right, so let me see. Screen share side because you're showing screen. Yeah, okay. Salakla, yeah. Salakla, yeah. Oh, yeah, no worries. Yeah, there you go. Thank you for letting me know, Saint. I greatly appreciate that. All right, so now we are. Okay. So now we're screen sharing. All right, so everybody should be able to see it. And as I'm screen sharing, I'm going through showing each one. All right, so we'll be doing it like that. So I appreciate that. All right, so let's go here. And from here, we're going to go to on YouTube. All right, so let's go to my own YouTube. Greatly appreciate that, son. So I like to read, and it really helps me to comprehend. Like if I can read the words, then I can see it in my imagination, and I think that's what that's what really does it for me. So everybody learns differently. And I can close my eyes and just kind of listen to a book and kind of put myself in there or visualize or memorize it. And that really works for me. That really works for me. So what I try to do is I try to get our people to get engaged. Now, if I can, as my elder would say, sometimes catch flies by using poop. Sometimes I'll do that. All right. I've heard one brother say, Sakari used diabolical tactics. I said, diabolical tactics? That's terrible. Now I'm not going to say I use diabolical tactics because that's not really my style. What I will do is I'll say something to get your attention, and I'm pretty sure that the majority of Yasharala who actually knows me know that what we're doing is we're talking about the things of the truth. We're just coming at it from a different angle. All right, so let's look at a few things real quick. All right, so here's our screen share. Flavors, receivers, and tickets of the Jews. All right, moreover, Moses was the inventor that formed the trumpet, which was made of silver. His description is this, and length it was a little less than a cubit. Right, so, okay. It was composed of a narrow tube, somewhat thicker than a flute, but with so much breath as sufficient for emission of the breath in a man's mouth. It extended in the form of a bell, like a common trumpet. Its sound is called in the Hebrew tongue Asosra, Asosra. Okay, Asosra. Hey, I believe somebody from the Northern Kingdom that speaks Spanish would pronounce that perfectly. All right. Asosra. All right. Now that's the word that I'm seeing there. All right. Now that's the word that I'm seeing there. Now something I also think is interesting is that asosra itself is something that we paid attention to. What we called it a asosra. Hey, asosra. That sounds fire. You hear the enemy coming, and they come from that way. Oh yeah, asosra. All the way. Ha. This is why we came here. Blow that thing, homie. I know some Israelites that's in anime right now that's feeling that phrase. Blow that shofar. Some people say it's actually ketzizit resh hey. Ketzizit. Nah. Ketzizit. Nah. If I go to these characters in Ibariya, here's our pronunciation. This first character is pronounced cha. As you see, it looks similar as you would see like what's on the back of a Kuma's shirt. Can you everybody see that screen? Right. Okay. So like on the back of a Kuma's shirt, he has that symbol, right? Like that's because Japanese and Chinese are closely related to Hebrew. Why? Because Lot's daughters, just like Lot, were Hebrews. All right, they weren't Hebrew Israelites, but they're Hebrews. All right. Now, so this first character, Cha, is actually the symbol of a door, and it's stopped. You can't go any further. It's like a door frame, like you would paint the blood over. Can't you see it? Just look at it. Paint the blood over the top doorpost. Paint the blood over the bottom. You can see it. It looks like a door frame. Right? Door frame. So this character in the modern Hebrew looks like this. But in the Paleo Hebrew, it's the symbol that looks like a fence. Like it's an H with 3 bars, and it means Cha, right? Like barrier, stop, right? Now, this next character, these two are exactly the same. So you know that they would make the same sound, Tza and Tza, right? Like Ma'ach, his name is Tza, Tazadach, righteous, right? Tazadach. Right. Oh man. So Tazada or Tza. So since Tza, T-A-Z-A, since that character is this character, you would pronounce it the same. You just say it twice, right? But in the Paleo Hebrew, that character looks like a T with a Z, which is really cool because that's literally my ox name. It's like that's hard, it's so hard. Now this next character is the Ra'ash. If you look at it, it looks just like an R, R, Ra, Ra, Ra. But in our language, Lashwan Kodash, we don't say R-A. We don't say Ra, 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 Ra. No, you say D-R, Ra, Ra, Ra. So in Paleo Hebrew, it would look like the symbol of a 4, but kind of turned backwards. And the reason being is because it's the profile shape of a head. Right. Now, this last character, and we're almost done. You did a great job going through this. This last character looks exactly like this character, except for what's the difference? Where's Logan? Do you see the difference? One of these things are different. What's the difference? In this character, as you notice, there's an opening. That opening is so breath can flow through. It looks just like a door frame, just like this door frame, the one that you would paint the blood over, right? Except for this door frame, it's open so air can pass through. So this one, instead of being cha, cha, and in modern Hebrew they'll say chet, cha. Instead of it being cha, since there's an opening, this one is just like H-A, ha, ha, ha. So the word that we have is Chatzatzra, 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 Chatzatzra. And this is the word for blowing the shofar. Hallelujah. Now let's see if we can type that out real quick. All right. Be patient with me. All right. Cha. Man, you know what would be helpful if I had pulled one of these? I can see. That's ridiculous. All right. All right. So this is how you say. Now, this is not the word for blow. When we say blow, this is not the word for blow. This is the sound that the shofar makes. What would happen if we all blew the shofar together and said the word together? Would the walls of Jericho come tumbling down? I don't know. I'm a dreamer. Let's see. All right, so Chasasra is the sound. All right. Maybe that could be something somebody would name their child. Like my first name is, it's pretty cool. So that, Ooh, that would be fire. Ah! That might be what my name really is. Okay. So it's supposed to be an AMSR. So we're going to keep it down because we don't want them babies to wake up. All right. Shalom, sister. If you enjoying this, please share it out. All right. So I don't know how much of AMSR I'll be able to do. All right. So let's get back to this real quick. So this is where we got it from. All right. Moreover, Moses was the inventor of the form of that trumpet, which was made of silver. Its description is this. In length, it was a little less than a cubit. It was composed of a narrow tube, somewhat thicker than a flute, but with so much breadth that as was sufficient for the admission of the breath of a man's mouth. It ended in the form of a bell, like a common trumpet. Its sound in the Hebrew is called chatzratzra. So fire. So just all praise Yahweh. I don't know why Flavius Josephus taught us that. I don't know why he gave us that jewel, but what I can do is I can copy paste it, and then you can have this information, and you can be like, hey everybody, fun fact for tabernacles, did you know, tabernacles, for trumpets, did you know this? Hey everybody. And then watch this. The scriptures also tells us the same things uttered in Hebrew and spoken in another tongue have not the same force in them. Not only these, but our laws. See? So just saying Chatzah. All right, try to type it out for you right there. Chatzah. You have to say the Tazah, and then you say Taz. Wait, I spelled it wrong. Dang it. Chatzah. No, I didn't. Chatzah. Okay, all right. So, point is saying, to say is, once you see these, here, let's come over here. Here's our word right here. All right, here's our buddy. All right, then we'll bring our buddy. We'll post it back right here. All right, so just in case. All right. All right, just in case. There you go. All right, all right, so. All right, let me put that to the side for right now. So, for whatever reason, Flavius Josephus left that for us, our Uncle Joe. He did, and it's a jewel because you haven't heard it, you didn't know it, now you do. Take it, do with it what you will. Maybe it'll glow, maybe it'll glow, maybe that just one word, you'll say it in your sleep or whatever, you blow the shofar, something happens. Maybe. Try it. Flavius Josephus, Antiquities of the Jews. These priests went forward blowing with their 7 trumpets. Now, what kind of trumpets were they? That's the question that we just seen answered. They were silver trumpets. So there was an Israelite who said that us having bone trumpets or trumpets from animal, he's like, it's not that, it was silver. My answer back to him is that it was both. Because Yashar as a whole, we weren't commanded to have silver trumpets, only the Levites, right? But as far as us going to, the Masons, right? Like when you go to the book of Flavius Josephus, when we were building the walls of Jericho, not the walls of Jericho, we were building the walls of Jerusalem, right? The Masons had their sword over here and their trumpet over there. You feel me? So these trumpets that we had, as a culture, as a nation, were made of, different things. But the Levites had a specific prescription, just like the garments, just like the holding of the hair. The Levites have a specific set apart specialness about them, All right, so let's get back to this real quick. So these priests went forward, blowing with their 7 trumpets, and exhorted the army before Alahaya. I'm sorry. My brain started to think about were they blowing the 7 trumpets, the silver trumpets, were these the silver trumpets, or was the silver trumpets only used for holy convocations, or did the Levites just carry the silver trumpets with them all the time? This is sincere questions. All right, these priests went forward, so this is obviously when we were going to war. All right, blowing their 7 trumpets and exhorting the army to be of good courage, and went round about the city with the Senate following. And when the priests had only blown trumpets, they did nothing more at all. They returned to the camp. I want to know this because I know that in this work right here, what we'll find is we'll find the details of the blowing of the trumpet, because Josephus actually teaches us how many times the trumpet is blown. He actually teaches us what's the names of the different trumpet blasts. And there's another book that's called Isidore of Seville's Etymologies. And in Isidore of Seville's Etymologies, we also learn about the different trumpet blasts too, right? This girl named Catharia from Kansas City, and he's a beautiful musician. He can blow a trumpet very beautifully. So for us to take time to learn these names and actually look them up, it can change things. It will change things. All right, so I encourage you all to. I got a few things I want to look at. And I mentioned that book, so let's go ahead and pull it up. This is Pliny the Elder, Natural History. Let's try again. Pliny the Elder, Natural History online. All right. So we're going to cover this real quick, and we're going to go to Internet Archive. All right. If you like listening to or checking out books or seeing why do I say some of the stuff that I say, this is an excellent time. All right. But I'm also going to show you what's up with this. Okay. So before we even get into it, I'm not just going to throw the book at your throat. All right. Let me at least show you, and then I'll toss it to you. Right? Isidore of Seville's Etymologies online. We can get what we want. Oh, let's try that again. Isidore of Seville's Etymologies online. All right. Getting closer. Booyah. All right. And everybody should be able to see this page. All right. Chrome makes PDFs better. PDF automatically gets converted so you can search in the text. Booyah. Winning. All right. So this is another book that I want to share with you all on, and the reason being is because the subject matter will help you to grow in your personal life. Okay, this book is your spiritual life. This book is called The Etymologies of Isidore of Seville. If you think you know something, I tell you right now, you know nothing. You will crack this book open and fall in love with wisdom. If you do not have a spiritual pulse. If you like to argue with me about things, go to this book and go to chapter 39. You will learn about grammar. You will learn about rhetoric. You'll learn about mathematics, music, and astronomy. And this is the fun part, because when we go to mathematics, music, and astronomy, we actually learn that these things are pretty much synonymous. When you think about mathematics, you think about music, you think about astronomy, all of these things, I was about to say architecture because it fits into it. All of these things, they all are up under the subject matter of arithmetic. I know I just said a lot, but if you go back and press rewind, you'll be like, oh, wow, they're on the subject matter of arithmetic. Why did I say that? Because all of these have to do with counting notes. All these have to do with the universal language, which is math. Okay? And a lot of you are so much better at math than I am. If I can share something with you and you're smarter than me, you're supposed to take it further to show people. Not look at me and say, I don't like you, so I don't like your information. You're not supposed to do that. You're supposed to say, hey, wow, that's pretty cool. I want to add some peanut butter to your jelly, and now we can have a whole little sandwich. That's how it's supposed to be. Now, I mentioned about astronomy, right? Watch this. Flavius Josephus, Antiquities of the Jews, Abraham taught the Egyptians. Let's share this page real quick. All right. And we could have read it from right there from the AI Jones, but maybe we can see if we can find an actual supply. All right. Contents. All right. Everybody should be able to see this page. Now, listen, I know I'm pulling up different things, but that's because all of these things run together. We ain't even got into the. Hold on, one more. If you got courage, stay with me. Encyclopedia Britannica edition, the first, astronomy. Now, somebody might say, and yes, this book is published 1767. 1768. Excuse me, 1768. Right. Boom, boom. So somebody might say, well, that book isn't old enough. Don't worry. Don't worry. If that book isn't old enough for you, this one is. And if this book isn't old enough for you, This one is. I had a brother try to rebuke me the other day and said, this Negro want to try to go to 2,000-year-old books and we got new technology. I said, the Bible is over 2,000 years old. And that's my answer. The scripture says, ask thy fathers and they will show thee, thy elders and they will tell thee. I'm going to get into flat earth because it's fun and it's funny. All right. But I'm only going to talk about it for the perspective of saying the reason why it's so important of me talking about flat earth is, for one, it's a gateway conversation. The other reason is because, hold on, lunar phases. The other reason is because if you don't believe the earth is a sphere and that the moon is outside of it rotating, then you are going to have a really hard time telling people when to correctly keep the holy days. And that's my whole shtick. That's my whole shtick. Okay. That's my whole shtick. Okay. That's it. A lot of people stop counting, and I'm not the best. I haven't been the best counter in my life. I know that there's only 8 phases. There's more, but 8 primary phases of the moon. And I'm not going to go into that too much. The simple fact right now that we're having eclipses is proof that what these very old antiquitous writers spoke about is true. And these people were before NASA. People say the word NASA means deceive, and it doesn't. And I kind of feel like, I'm a broken record repeating the same things, but that's what the Bible is. The Bible is the most repetitive book you will ever read in your life. Ever. The Most High is the master of repetition. He repeats itself over and over and over to us. I want to show everybody this book real quick. Now, if you don't like the book, or if you don't like the information, that's fine. All I ask people to do is check and see if the book is valid. Oh shoot, I just totally missed that. I just totally messed that up. Where are we at? Oh man. That's what we're supposed to do. Well, we can go back to it. Check and see if it's valid, but not only if it's valid, you want to check and see who the writers, who the authors are. Now, this guy, his name was Pliny the Elder. All right, now, before anybody trying to tell you Pliny the Elder was not an Israelite, let me tell you, Pliny the Elder, as far as I know, was not an Israelite. Fine, no problem. Pliny the Elder lived during the destruction of Jerusalem. He lived during that time frame. He was a scholar back then. Now, I'm going to take this on the chin because I won't be able to get around the fact that there are very intelligent people from other nations who know more than us. I can't get away from that. Hebrew Israelites don't know everything. So Pliny the Elder was very wise, and it wasn't like he had the philosophy of just the Greeks only. All right. Now, when I read this, there are words that you're going to have to take into consideration. Now, one of those words are going to be mundus, right? Now, we're going to start right here. This is chapter, all right, for those of you who know how to read this style of math language. All right, this is the number 4, all right? So we're in chapter 4. It says, why the world is called mundus. Mundus. Did you know that the world is called mundus? On a general consensus. On a general consensus, the planet is called mundus. There's certain words that we can't get away from has been called mundus to this day. And it's just the word changing has been so slightly tweaked, we don't even know we're saying it, but once you see it, you can't get away from it. That's why I got bugged out, because I'm like, there go the proof. I'm a scientist also, but I don't have the credentials of others. I'm a scientist in the form of being a natural philosopher. And a lot of you people who are flat earthers, you study zetetic astronomy, and you are also chapter 4. Why the world is called mundus. For my own part, I am ruled by the general consent of all nations. For my most part, I agree with what everybody else in the world say. For the world which the Greeks by the name of ornament call. Now, I don't know how to say this word in Greek yet, but we could take it up here and we could highlight it and we could just put it right there. And then we could just see, I don't know, man. I think because of the font. No, it's not going to do it because of the font. All right. That's it was a nice shot though. It's not can't say we didn't try, right? Okay, so the Greeks call the ornament what this word is. I have to find out. We for the perfect neatness and absolute elegance thereof have termed mundus. Now, I noticed that about antiquities writers. They a lot of times will clearly make a distinction between who they are and who they are not, and that's why sometimes I would make my own assessment and say, wait a minute, I think Socrates is a Hebrew. I think Socrates was a Yasharabian. And just in between reading, listening to, studying, checking out his writings, and he would talk about the other nations and he would make all these indications as if he was Israelite. And then you go and read Flavius Josephus, and Josephus tells you about Socrates, one of our own that was killed for. It's like, whoa! So Socrates, and then you go and find proof. Socrates was a Negro. He was a Hebrew. He didn't believe in the gods of the people around, and he had to write it like this. So by context clues, you will hear certain things, and it'll be like, wait a minute, now I gotta go look this up, precept upon precept. So Pliny, and you'll see it. It'll be like, well, he was born in Greece, but does that mean he was a Grecian? You were born in America, but your nationality is you are, Hayaladim Yasharawa, right? But look at this. He makes this distinction. He says, we, for the perfect neatness and absolute elegance thereof, have termed mundus and have named sky, I'm going to say Kalium, because it is engraven. According to M. Vadio, interpreted it, and the order of things therein contributes to this, and especially the defined circle called signifier or zodiac, divided by the forms of the 12 living creatures, through which is the sun's track, preserving the same course for many ages. That's perfect. Job chapter 38, KJV Blue Letter Bible. Job chapter 38. Let's go down to 31 right here. Job chapter 38, verse 31. Canst thou bind the sweet influences of Pleiades, or loose the bands of Orion? Canst thou bring forth Mazzaroth in his season, or canst thou guide Arcturus with his sons? What you just heard was a whole bunch of constellations. Not constipations, constellations. That was just terribly timed. It was just bad, poor timing. So not constipations, you just heard constellations. So the Most High said, can you bind the sweet influences of Pleiades? Pleiades is a constellation. Pleiades literally looks like a Dragon Ball in the night sky. Pleiades is also found in the tail of Taurus, the bull, one of the constellations that I was born under, which, if you notice, I said one of the constellations that I was born under is Taurus. All right. I was born in between Taurus and Gemini. All right. So with that being said, it's good to know the attributes of the time frame of your birth according to the Bible, not for astrology, but for astronomy. And there are attributes that go along with it. The point of saying such is to say, this looks like a Dragon Ball in the midnight sky. All right. All right, you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. All right, 1. Yeah. So from afar, This is Pleiades right here. All right. So this is Pleiades in the back tail end. All right. And they're also related to or called the Seven Sisters. All right. Pleiades is also called the Seven Sisters. Okay. So pretty cool, huh? Now, some of you may have been like, oh, yeah, I knew that. Big deal. You didn't show me that and didn't teach me nothing. You ain't proving that. Yeah, that's cool. I'm not trying to be that guy. All I want to do is say, in the Bible, the word Pleiades is right here. So Israelites knew astronomy. We knew astronomy. This is way back in the book of Job, and people will tell you that they believe that Job is one of the oldest books of the Old Testament. But then after that, he says, or canst thou loose the bands of Orion? Wait a minute. Did you notice that Orion was right here in the same constellation with Pleiades? Right here in the Bible. Every night we look up at the sky and we see those three stars that belt. Almost probably was a touch screen. I was about to be like, oh man. So, but that shows you how technology has us. One day I was, my two brethren, they was on their phones, and I had a notebook and I'm writing, and on my notebook I did like that, and we just all started laughing. So, but if I zoom into this image right here, right, what we'll be able to see is not the dancing women; they're a representation. If you look at this right here, it says Orion's belt. 1, 2, 3. These are Orion's legs down at the bottom, representation. All right, Betelgeuse, and then you have his shoulders, and then arrows, and then up in the top corner you have the Seven Sisters, which are also known as Pleiades. All right, which can be found in the constellational tail of Taurus. All right, these things are very important to know because they tell a story in the sky. And here's something else. Somebody try to say that I'm doing this or I'm saying that. I've been called many things, and a reader is one of those things I've been called. So I'm going to read to you. So the word Orion is right there in the Bible. I didn't make it up. Pleiades is right there in the Bible. I showed you it's the Seven Sisters. And then the Most High said, canst thou bring forth Mazzaroth in his season? So flat earthers are finished in so many different levels. See, the Mazzaroth is what's called the zodiac. All right. Now, the zodiac also goes around the constellations outside of Earth. All right. So let me show you this real quick. So, booyah, here we are. So, Mazzaroth in the Bible right here. So, you have the zodiac wheel. All right. Mazzaroth, and then there's the Wikipedia. But let's go to images. I like images. So, here's what the Mazzaroth is. And it's right there in the book of Job, chapter 38. Mazzaroth. You see this? Mazzaroth, zodiac. You see this? You know what this is? This is called our armorality. This is called armorality. Artillery. This is called a wheel that has a zodiac symbol going around it. It's shaped in the form of a sphere. Because what it's showing you is that not only is the Earth a part of this grand scale, but also the zodiacs going around it are part of it. So we can't do certain things about words that are in Hebrew. I was hoping to be able to see it. Here we go. Especially influence, book the world. No, that's not what I was looking for. I love to study. Hold on. Artillery spheres, astronomical tools. Armillary spheres. There we go. So this is what we're looking at. So we're looking at armillary spheres. These things are beautiful and complex. These aren't, just new things that were made up. All right. This shows you the tracing of the alignment of the planets, of the constellations, and none of these. Well, you're not going to find a flat Earth in one of these anywhere, but you will find these in antiquities. All right. Armillary sphere. All right. Armillary sphere. All right. And what I like to do is I try to find the oldest of the information I can find. So you can see this Islamic astronomy, right? Here we go. I wasn't sharing the page. I apologize, everybody. I was on a roll too. I didn't get to see none of that. My bad. So armillary sphere. All right. All right. So here we are. So when we're looking at what's called an armillary sphere, where we're looking at the same thing that the Bible is showing us in the book of Job. Now, people talk about how the earth is flat and it's on pillars, but you have a problem with that. I have a big problem with that. I have a huge problem with that. Because first of all, the book of Isaiah says sphere. But we also have antiquitous writers, right, such as Pliny the Elder and such as Isidore of Seville, which we're going to look at that again. But these are images of our armillary spheres. Okay. Now, watch this. Ancient Arabic astronomical instruments. You see that? Look at this. Ancient Arabic astronomical instruments. That's all you got to do. None of these will give you any calculations for a flat Earth. None of them. None of them are set up for a flat Earth. The sundial is laying flat on the ground because it shows you how the sun goes around the sky and how it actually goes in a circular course from the east to the west, which makes the shadow cast going around. You can't make this stuff up. Listen. I don't know how to accept something that I just have seen proven over and over. All right. You can go from Arabic to East Indian astronomical instruments. And a lot of people don't think like that, but you have to. You have to. And then see if they compare with actually flat earth tools or not. You do Arabic, you do East Indian, and you do Hebrew. Ancient East Indian astronomical instruments. It's going to get a little weird. So my point of saying such is to say the East Indians and the culture thereof are one of the oldest in the world, if not are the. So if you want to know about astronomical, you go to the oldest cultures. Ask thy fathers, and they will show thee, thy elders, and they will tell thee. You're going to see a whole lot of spheres when you get around this zone. You can't help it. And the reason being is because this is the tools that the East Indians, that the Arabs use to do what? To help prove compasses, encompassing. People think that compass and encompass are the same. It's not. Compass and encompass are not the same. Compass and encompass are not the same. So sometimes people will relate that to both being flat. And it's not. Sometimes people relate it to it being flat, and it's not. Here's the information for you right here. I mean, you can go through it. You can have fun with it. Play around with it. I like to share things. I think sharing is fun. If I know something and then you know something and we're on the same page, that's even better. If we're not on the same page, then I think one of us should care about the other person enough to be like, hey, nah, man, keep looking at this with me. Because it matters. Everything matters. Let's look at some wisdom real quick. All of this is wisdom, so I'll praise y'all with so much. Let's put this up real quick. All right, boom. All right, here's that. All right, say I'm struggling. Oh, I didn't know that. You know what? I apologize for that. I didn't know that. I get my zone. I get the sound of that drum and I'm lost. Slackway, I appreciate you. Slackway. All right, so throughout, I pray, I hope that that's better. All right, so let's get back to this real quick. I want you to see something that's interesting you may not have heard or seen before, or if you have, it's no big deal. You know, it's just a cool refresher. All right, here. Let's start here. We're going to start with the Antiquities of the Jews by Flavius Josephus, translated by William Winston. This is a Hebrew Vox recording. All Hebrew Vox recordings are found in the public domain. For more on content, contact Hebrew Vox. All right. All right. So check this out. So concerning the interval of 3,833 years. I said, what? Concerning what? You mean to tell me there's an Israelite historian that wrote the time frame of 3,833 years from the creation to the death of Isaac? Yes, he was a Negro, Flavius Josephus, Antiquities of the Jews. I'm not glorifying Negro over any other thing or tribe or nothing. I'm just telling people because people don't know he was. All right. So acknowledge it. Acknowledge the 12 tribes of Israel. All right. Now look at this real quick. This is the in the beginning story, but this is written from not only a Levite, not only from a historian, all right, but also from a scientist. Now watch this. Let's see what Flavius Josephus says pertaining to the shape of the earth. Let's see if he says if it's flat or if it's a sphere hits a. Let's read. In the beginning, Allahaya, God created heaven and earth, but the earth did not come into sight, but was covered with thick darkness, and wind moved upon its surface. God commanded that there should be light. So first, let me explain this to you all. The Most High created light before he made the sun and the moon. Oh, yeah, wait a minute. That's a big deal. Take that in consideration. Don't forget it. He made the what's called a war. He made the awar. He made the light before he made the sun and the moon. And when that was made, he considered the whole mass and separated the light from the darkness. And the name he gave to one was night and the other called day. And he named the beginning of light and the first rest, the evening and the morning. Now, let me explain this. You might have missed that. Listen, everybody. Yahweh named the beginning of light and what else? The time of rest, the evening, and the morning. And the first time Azaquan showed me that, I said, oh my goodness. I said, I got more to learn. I said, man, why you even show me that? That means I got more counting to do. Zaquan stood there and said, it's five. He said 4, if not 5 time frames in one day. And people don't consider that. Not even to consider the fact that a day in itself is operated by the sun, the moon, and the earth all working together. The sun, as we know, operates in about a 24-hour course. If you're lived on the planet for a while and you agree with that, put a 7 in the room. But also, it also shows us that the earth spins within a 24 axis. Somebody might say the earth doesn't spin. Okay, I'm telling you it does. It doesn't fly throughout the galaxy, but it's stationary in one place, revolving. It's fixed. It's moved. And it's revolving. And this is how we get the process also of night and day. But it's not just that. It's not just that. It's also how we get the process of the sun going from over the earth to under the earth, not around in a circle. This is called astronomy. We're going to read a little bit about astronomy before we go back to Flavius Josephus. I just want to catch your interest. I want you to learn things before you go. You might be night bedtime. You might be sleeping. You might, I don't know. You might be watching this in the daytime. I don't know. I want you to learn something. Watch this. The name of astronomy, astronomy, is the law of the stars, which by investigation, reasoning, touches the courses of the constellations and the figures and the positions of the stars relative to each other and the earth. This is what the definition of astronomy is. This is what the etymology of astronomy is. It's the law of the stars in relation to the constellations and calculating and positioning them in relative to where they are in the earth. Now, this book, let's look at this real quick. What year did Isidore of Seville finish his etymology dictionary? Isidore of Seville did not complete an etymology dictionary before his death. Did not complete his dictionary. Anyway, before his death, a working document. Okay, so 600s, all right, and condolences and much out of respect, all right. So 600s, we have 636, 615. I ain't talking about a book from 1895. I'm not talking about a book from 1500 either. I'm talking about this book was from 615, 3 digits. Jerusalem was destroyed in 70 AD. This book was done in 650. 615. We're in 2025. You know how much information, you know how much wisdom that is? And an old school book that I didn't make up. So how are people coming at me for reading? This is what we used to do. The Israelite youth community used to be so excited to learn something new from a book. But you know what? It's coming back. Because you're going to learn something and then it's going to excite you. And then you're going to be like, oh, wow. And then you're going to change the way you think. Watch. Because you're going to learn. The inventors of astronomy. Now let's learn chapter 25, the inventors of astronomy. Watch this. The Egyptians were the first to discover astronomy. Now pay attention to that. A whole bunch of Egyptians and Kemet brothers, they just threw their hands up in the air. They just painted eyeliner all on the middle of their forehead. They done braided themselves up one big ponytail. They don't think they win, huh? Egyptians, huh? Nah. The Egyptians were the first to discover astronomy. However, the Chaldeans were the first to teach astrology. Wait a minute. Did you catch that? Watch this. And observations concerning nativities. But the author Josephus asserts that Abraham instructed the Egyptians in astrology. The Greeks say that this art was earlier conceived by Atlas. Oh, hold on. It gets better. Isidore of Seville Chronology. Chronology, Isidore of Seville, online. Chronology by Isidore of Seville, online. There we go. Origins. All right. So we're gonna open this one up too. All right. Now we're gonna hold on to origins. Now we're not gonna come here just yet. Okay. But we're gonna hold on to it. Okay. And the reason being is because this is a super cool site. And if you like to learn, if you're interested, if you really for real have a passion for wanting to know medicine, you feel me? You know, this is fire. All right, so let's stay over here. Let's stay where we are. All right, so we see according to not only Pliny the Elder, Isidore of Seville, we see, well, let me rephrase that. We see according to Isidore of Seville that Flavius Josephus, who we were just reading, tells us that Abraham taught the Egyptians. Well, we're going to have to see, what did Abraham teach the Egyptians? He taught the Egyptians astronomy, arithmetic, mathematics, horseback riding. If you ever heard of the man Thoth, if you ever heard of the man Hermes Trismegistus, these names are all related to Abraham, and all of them taught the was a sphere. As far as I've seen, I could be wrong, but I challenge you, I encourage you to show me. Right? Now let's look at this real quick. Those who established astronomy. In both languages, there are indeed volumes that have been written by diverse writers about astronomy. Among these writers, Ptolemy, the king of Alexandria, is thought to excel among the Greeks, for he established the canons whereby the courses of the stars are discovered. So I would say, and some Israelites wouldn't do it. Some Israelites wouldn't do it. They wouldn't go to Ptolemy. They wouldn't go to the king of Alexandria, but I will. I absolutely would. No matter why. Why? Because we gotta investigate the good. We gotta investigate what we might think is bad. Because remember, the libraries of the Hebrews was raided by the other nations. Just like you have Marcus Aurelius. Marcus Aurelius basically he basically plagiarized the book of Proverbs. And it's beautiful. And it's in the form of preserving it for us today and to spread the word of Yahweh throughout the four corners of the earth. But for those of us that are rooted in the Torah, for those of us that are rooted in the Torah, once you've been through and you've been learning the Torah, childhood, growing up, etc., your adult life, and then you go back and hear something else, you're like, wait a minute, that's Proverbs. That's Proverbs all day. And then you find out that Marcus Aurelius, his librarian, was a devout server of Yahweh, but he was a Gentile man. It's like, all of this stuff goes together. So check this out. So the difference between astronomy and astrology, all right? There is some difference between astronomy and astrology. Astronomy concerns itself with the turning of the heavens, the rising, setting, motion of the stars, and where the constellations get their names. But astrology is partially natural and partially superstitious. So that's this elder, he made this statement excellently. I don't need me to validate it. He said it before me, and that's really how it is. Here, astronomy concerns itself with the turning of the heavens, the rising and the motions of the stars, and where the constellations get their names. But astrology is partially natural and partially superstitious. It is partially natural as long as it investigates the courses of the sun and the moon and the specific position of the stars according to the seasons, but it is superstitious. But it is a superstitious belief that the astrologers or the mathematicians follow when they practice augury by the stars, or when they associate the 12 signs of the zodiac with specific parts of the soul or body, or when they attempt to predict the nativities and characters of people by the motion of the stars. So this is excellent expounding. And you might be able to say this your own way. I will say this, though. If you listen to the elders, you will leave wiser. If you just record down what does Aquanium say, you'll go back wiser. You have the best understanding of how did the Father say what we're supposed to do, what we're not supposed to do. And you'll be able to tie and relate them into other things. All right, now I really want to take this to what's called St. John Damascus, because in St. John Damascus, we also learn about astronomy, astrology, and the earth and the world being a sphere. Now, let's read down a little bit because we're still on the same subject. I told you all I wanted to read, right? So now I'm going to, we're going to hear some great points. And it's not just for my points to bring out. You're going to hear some stuff that's going to sound like, well, that could be flat Earth. You might hear some stuff that says that Earth, that sounds like a snow globe Earth. You know what I'm saying? But let's see. Astronomical reckoning, all right? There are several kinds of astronomical reckoning. Indeed, it defines what the world is, what the heavens are, and, what is the position, of course, of the sphere. So you mean to tell me in 615 we believe that the Earth was a sphere? Some believe that the Earth was a sphere? Yeah. But he goes right into it. It was ridiculous, to teach that. Well, let's go right into it. What the position and course of the sphere, what the axis of the heavens and the poles, what are the zones of the heaven, what are the courses of the sun and the moon and the stars, and so on. The world and its name. The world, mundus, is that which consists of the heavens, the earth, the seas, and all of the stars. The world is so named because it is always in motion. Ooh, motus, for no rest is granted to its elements. Yeah. The shape of the world, the forma mundi, The shape of the world is known in this way, just as the world is raised up towards the northern region. That sounds like a flat earth to me, son. Well, let's keep reading. So it declines towards the south. Well, now it sounds like a whole sphere. Its head and its face, as it were, the eastern region, and its furthern part is the northern region, the sky in its name. The philosophers, I almost say philosophers, the philosophers, the philosophers have said that the sky, heaven, heavens, is rounded, spinning, and burning. And the sky is called by its name because it has the figures of the constellations impressed into it. Just like an engraven vessel, God, Yahweh, distinguished the sky with bright lights, and he filled it with the sun and the gleaming orb of the moon, and he adorned it with brilliant constellations composed of glittering stars. The Greek, in Greek, the sky is called, I don't know how to pronounce it yet, from that word, that is, seeing, from the fact that the air is clear and very pure for seeing through. Now, that's the sky in itself. Let's get into the what is called the position of the celestial sphere. Wait a minute. 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 Sphere. Wait a minute. Celestial. Wait a minute. Celestial sphere. Wait a minute. Put them both together. What do you have? What is a celestial sphere? I keep trying to get this right here. Hold on, wait. Just bear with me, everybody. All right, my finger got Tootsie Roll juice on them because I was eating. You know, if you have Tootsie Rolls that came in different colors and flavors, and some of them is like green, orange, and red. You kind of, you can get them at different candy stores. Yeah, I got a whole bunch of candy. I haven't been doing. I've just been eating sweets. I'm sorry, everybody. So this is what would be considered a sphere, but here we go. Milwaukee's Guide to Beginner's Guide to a Celestial Sphere. All right, understanding the celestial sphere. Basic understanding of our celestial sphere is necessary to know the sky, how the stars move, the moon, planets are only seen in a relatively. Only seen. Planets are seen in only a relatively small path in the sky, and how we mathematically designate the location of the stars. Okay, so I'm going to save this page and I'm going to share it with you all. All right, and I'm going to share this page right here. All right, so beginner's guide, really easy. All right, celestial sphere. Understanding the celestial sphere, the basic understanding of our celestial. Now, listen, when you're studying astronomy, you're going to hear a whole bunch of phrases repeatedly over and over and over. And why? Because astronomy, just like math, has its own language. That's how you know when somebody's talking about math. If they're using specific terms, it's like, yo, you saying that phrase, or you saying that in place. You know what I'm saying? It's like me. If I'm trying to talk to somebody about mathematical equations, like specifically numbers, and I'm getting my math wrong, a mathematician is going to know. They're going to be like, bro, 7 times 6 is not, 43. You know what I'm saying? They're going to know it. You know what I'm saying? So when you study arithmetic, when you study the Bible, you have to have these same phrases in your mind because they're going to help, bring everything together. So we're going to stay in this subject right here, which is called celestial sphere. All right. So celestial sphere, we'll read this real quick. A basic understanding of our celestial sphere is necessary to know the skies. Notice it says our celestial sphere. All right, it's to know the sky, how stars move, why the moon and the planets are seen in only a relatively small path in the sky, and how we do what? How we mathematically designate the locations of the stars. Okay. So the way that we mathematically designate the locations of the stars are called a process. It's called a process. I'm not reading anymore. It's a process. It's called ephemeris, Benjamin Banneker. All right. So Benjamin Banneker, this was the Negro. Yep. I love you, Northern Kingdom brothers. Don't get mad at me and don't jump off the live and don't be like, oh, he's bringing up a Marano again, a Canaanite. No, listen, man, listen. Benjamin Banneker was a Negro, 1700s. All right, freed from slavery. Right? How? His mother, I believe she killed her slave owner, and she purchased her freedom, and then she also purchased the man that she was in love with. That was a fellow Hebrew slave. And Benjamin Banneker wrote this book, which is called The Original Farmer's Almanac. You see this? The ephemeris. They use this ephemeris today. You see that word right there? It says eclipse. You see that? All right. It's really hard to get an eclipse if the sun, moon, and earth are not all lined up. So the mathematical equation that we've seen that was presented, the mathematical equation that's presented, from understanding the celestial sphere, the beginnings got to understand the celestial sphere. The mathematical equation of calculating stars is by using what's called an ephemeris. Okay. All right. And with the ephemeris ephemeris, what you can do is you can have time calculated, to, however far ahead. All right. And it'll help you to know where the positioning of the celestial spheres are. Okay. All right. The sphere of the sky is a certain shape that is a round form, and its center, and it is the center. Excuse me. And its center is the Earth. There we go. All right. Which is equally enclosed on all sides. So let's read that again. The sphere of the sky is a certain shape that is round in form, and its center is the earth, which is equally enclosed on all sides. They say that this sphere has neither beginning nor an end, and this is because it is round, just like a circle, and it may not easily be comprehended at what point it ends and where it begins. I read that backwards. The philosophers have proposed 7 heavens belonging to the universe, that is, 7 planets, from the coordinated motions of their spheres. Now, real quick, when you see the word philosophers, that means scientists in the ancient days. So in the ancient days, they didn't call them scientists, they called them natural philosophers. So if you were a philosopher, then you were a scientist. See it? All right. So, I think a good question to propose would be, who were the philosophers during the time of Isidore? During the time of Isidore, which he was around the 600 time frame, before that time frame, uh, who were the philosophers, but we'll read on because we know that Isidore also has a vast knowledge of not only the 12 tribes, but also of Abraham, also of the other nations, Esau, etc. So Isidore he was a library, he was the internet. So let's see. They hold that everything is connected to the orbital path of these planets, and they think that these planets are interconnected and, in a way, inserted within one another, and that they turn backwards and are carried by the motion that is opposite to their heavenly bodies. The movement of that same sphere. The movement of the sphere is caused by its turning on 2 axes, one of which is the northern and never sets, is called Boreas, and the other is the southern axis, which is never seen, is called Astronostus. Now, I have a problem pronouncing these two, as you see. I won't try to perpetrate the fraud, but what I will do is show you exactly what they are and where they are. Now, as you all seen, we just copy pasted that line from this one old book, really old book. And what we're going to do is we're going to delete every word that's in the middle except for those 2 locations, right? We're just going to leave those 2 locations, and then we're going to share that. And then when we share that, we're going to see if we get any images. What in the pickle sticks and lollipops am I looking at right there? All right. Okay, it gets deeper. It gets deeper. Wow, the etymologies. Looks like I got me some studying to do. Whoa. Is that a cockatrice? What is that? What is that? What is that? What is that? Cockatrice? All right, so let's put the word astronomy there and see if things change. And yes, it does. Why? Because you have to use astronomical phrases in order to find astronomical solutions. All right. So, open a new tab. All right. Lying alongside the Milky Way, Cronus Australis contains one of the closest star-forming regions of the solar system. So it looks like it really is what it is. It looks like it's telling us. Um, okay, there we go. So we're looking at latitude, longitude. We are looking at the poles, the relation of where the poles are. It looks like the forefathers that were before us, it looks like they knew that the earth had a tilted axis. And that's pretty, I'm gonna say this, that's pretty gnarly. I think that's pretty gnarly. And the reason being is because it was written so much before we were born. All right. They say that this sphere of heaven moves on two poles, and with this movement, the stars are fixed in it. That make their circuit from the east to the west, and the northern stars completing shorter circuit courses next to the turning point. The course of this same sphere, the sphere of heaven, turns from east to west once in the span of a day and a night, consisting of 24 hours, during which the sun is in its own revolution, finishes its own course under the earth and, excuse me, over the earth and under it. So it's really hard for me to believe that the earth is flat. And it's not hard for me to believe it because it's not comprehensible. It's hard for me to believe it because true scholarly academic writings, opposed to jargon and argument and videos from TikTok and social media, actually shows me that the sky is revolving, the earth is revolving. The shape of the earth is a sphere. The shape of the vault of the earth is a sphere. And we haven't even got halfway through the page. We haven't even got halfway through the page. Yeah. Oh no. I don't know what to tell you. Don't shoot the messenger. The earth is not flat. All right. Brother told me it's ridiculous to think that the earth is spinning. I said, is it? The speed of the sky. The sphere of the heaven is said to run in a swiftness so great that if the stars did not run against it headlong course to delay it, it would make a ruin of the universe. They didn't even put a speed on it back in the 600s. They was like, if it wasn't 5 days, we'd be messed up. The northern axis is so the axis of heaven. The northern axis is a straight line that stretches through the center of the ball of the sphere. It is called axis, i.e., axle, because the sphere turns on it as though it were a wheel, because, or excuse me, a wheel, or because the wane, i.e., Ursula Major, is there, i.e., oh wow, they're talking about the constellation of Bear Ursula Major. Well, let me see something real quick. What was going on in the world in 16? No, what was going on in the world in 615? Not 16, not 16, not 16. My bad. I'm kind of a slow bird sometimes. Like I be at the back of the class. All right. What was going on in the world? I need some. I there ain't no pictures of what's going on. What was going on in the world in 615? I need to know because this is an early time frame. This is an early time frame. What? Ain't no pictures? 600? I wasn't taking pictures back then. Oh my goodness. Listen, the point of saying such as say the information is so overwhelming, I don't know what to do with it. I'm gonna yield the floor here, get a bowl of cereal, and tell you all, and y'all will come. Kadash Shalom. All right. I don't know what to do with it when it's all right there. I pray that you all can take some of this information, look it up for yourself. I'll keep these books posted in case somebody want to bring this back up. Kwame Yasser. Enjoy your feast, though.